Today we're talking about just what does it mean to offer bookkeeping services? What does that look like? What's expected of you in terms of offering? And then what can you offer in addition to that as you grow and change your business? But I will pause. Megan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I know a lot of times we hear, can I do this? Like, you definitely can. We've done it. Like, all the coaches from different areas of life, different backgrounds, different states, different everything. Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk more about how you did that and marketed and all of those things and how we're currently marketing. In a couple of weeks, August 20th, we have a free masterclass where we're diving in. So anytime we do a workshop, it's more workshop heavy. So if it's masterclass, it's a little high level. If it's workshop, it is hands in, like we're doing this tomorrow. We have a keeper workshop. So we're uncovering how current coaches use Keeper, for instance. That is available to all of you. But on the 20th, we're taking a deep dive into marketing specifically and just other ways to market your business versus being Facebook heavy. Allie will drop the link to that if you want to get registered. It is free and there will be a replay. So no worries if you can't join us live. Okay, so what bookkeeping services should you offer as a bookkeeper? And I made slides for you because I feel like this is conceptually like hard to keep track of. So if you're visual like me, hopefully you'll appreciate this today. So what we're going to cover today is just operating as a beginner. So like me and Megan did when we first got started, and or running just a simple bookkeeping business, which I would argue I do more of. I do offer a couple of the other services and I'll highlight those as I go. Megan and I refer to the simple business as like our bread and butter clients. These are clients we want all day long. They make it really easy to run our workflows and not have hiccups in our workflows. So this is where we encourage you to start, but you're also welcome to stay. So you don't have to stay a beginner. Please don't stay a beginner, but you can stay in the simple model. So we'll talk about that. Becoming an outsourced team member. I have a couple of clients that I am more of an outsourced team member for than I am a simple operation up here. And I will go into what that could look like. Above and beyond services. These are services that are just beyond bookkeeping that some of you have asked about offering, or we know that you want to offer. So other ways to focus. Maybe you get a couple of bookkeeping clients and you're like, I don't know if I want to focus on this, or maybe I want to specialize in a specific area of bookkeeping as you're going about. So we'll get into that. And then we're going to get into just some services that are often misunderstood that require additional training and education, and when you should or shouldn't add those as a bookkeeper. The beginner simple type business. This is basic bookkeeping. This is simply categorizing, reconciling, sending reports, and then maybe doing any cleanup as you go, or they bring you 6 months to clean up. We have a really nice workflow in the Bookkeeper Blueprint that walks you through how to do these different levels in your business. But just a high level of what this looks like is, and it looks different for every business, how you want to operate. So I'm going to give you a couple of options. Categorizing these transactions would mean you have QuickBooks Online Accountant, which if you don't have that, it is free for you. You should not be paying for QuickBooks. So in your free QuickBooks Online Accountant, you're going to become their accountant. You're going to be able to see their client books. When you get into their client books, you're going to connect their bank accounts to the bank feed. If you are unable to, or it's not connecting, or we need to bring in past data, you can export transactions and then upload those into QuickBooks. From there, you're going to get a bunch of these transactions: Walmart, Target, GoDaddy, Microsoft Office, all of these expenses that they're using for their business. And we're going to say, oh, this was office supplies. This was a website expense. This was advertising, whatever it is, a subscription. We're going to just categorize. This allows us when we give the tax package to the tax professional or the CPA, EA, whoever's doing their tax prep, to maximize their deductions. So financials, remember, have two purposes. One's management purpose, and that is for the owner to run their business more efficiently, effectively make more money. That's what we want for them. Two, it's for the tax professional. It is for us to be accountable to the IRS, and I will not get into that today. But so wherever you stand on that, those are the two purposes. So in order to do that, we have to categorize these expenses. And often our eye is towards the pleasing the tax preparer. But we also want to make sure we're making it so that the owner can run their business well. After they're all categorized and put in their little buckets and neatly organized, right? That's why most people get into bookkeeping, is they're really good at organizing, would be reconciling. So we're just going to take that bank statement. So you're going to log into the bank, you're going to download the bank statement. On that bank statement, you're going to see an ending balance, and we're going to just make sure, so QuickBooks makes it really easy, but you're just going to make sure that ending balance. So you're going to go to reconcile, select all the transactions that are on the bank statement. Sometimes it works out, just all of them are good to go, and it's just easy reconcile. Other times something happened and it's not as cut and dry, and you have to go line by line to see what went wrong. Sometimes it's just as simple as the bank feed. If it's connected, brought in 2 or 3 transactions for one transaction, and we just need to go delete those. Then we're going to send reports to the client. This can be pretty automated. It's pretty simple. Most bookkeepers, especially when they're beginning, simply send the balance sheet and the profit and loss. So you need to know how to review both of those reports. So you want to understand the balance sheet, you want to understand the profit and loss. Technically, a Schedule C really depends heavily on the profit and loss, not the balance sheet. But I think as a beginner bookkeeper, you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't know how to understand the balance sheet and the P&L and how those look together. Because if a client, even if they're a Schedule C, wants to go get a loan, they're really going to need that balance sheet in order to go do that. Okay. And then cleanup happens as we go, and cleanup happens sometimes when a client comes to us. You could require, if you're a super beginner, that you don't do cleanup. And you can tell clients, hey, I partner with so-and-so, they're going to do the cleanup. Me and Megan do recommend that you learn how to do the cleanup. Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would recommend
No, 100%.
that you learn before.
No, yeah, no, 100%. I feel like the cleanup, yes, it can be difficult in the beginning, when you're still learning and everything. But I feel like doing the cleanup jobs is where I've learned the most. And you also learn the most about the client. So yeah, so like even to this day, I still try to, like with contractors, make sure I'm the one. If I have contractors helping with clients later on, it's usually after a cleanup is completed for me personally, just because then I get familiar with the client's books and know what's going on regardless.
Yep. And then you start to learn how everything flows together.
Yeah.
And this is part of the reason we say, if you don't have a client yet and you're like, but this is what I need to learn, do your personal bookkeeping.
Yep.
So in your QBO, you're going to have your business financials. They're probably going to be really simple and really too simple to really learn. So we're going to keep up with those. That helps us learn how to connect the bank feeds to our business account and all of those things. That's a really good start. Megan and I would encourage, get a simple start, or not a self-employed subscription, the smallest QBO subscription that's available. I think there's testing one that's in between self-employed and simple start. So grab the one you want. Connect your personal accounts, your mortgage, your rent, your credit cards, your bank accounts, your savings accounts. Connect everything to it. It might take one step at a time. And guys, I wouldn't go back and do 2023. You might do all of 2024. And you're going to treat yourself like a cleanup. And you're going to go through, you're going to categorize everything. You're going to reconcile everything. And then you're going to look at your reports. How much have you been spending on groceries this year? How much have you spent on fuel this year? And just so you're going to set it up. The chart of accounts will look very much like a personal budget. If you need help with this, don't get too hung up on the person, like the chart of accounts. Megan and I can help you with that pretty quickly so that you can go do the practice. We're more concerned about you practicing than getting every category right. But if you have questions, we can help you along the way, especially with your personal. There's obviously some grace to be, but we can help you make sure it's right and reconciled and that the balance sheet and the P&L are right if you need help with that. So that is beginner simple. I am watching the comments. If you guys have any questions as we go, feel free to drop them in. So the next step that, and this is probably the easiest way. If you hear people saying, hey, I got a $40,000 a year client, they might be doing more of this than just basic bookkeeping. And let me just do the math so I don't misspeak. So I just said 40,000 a year. That's 3,300 a month, right? That means you're doing a lot for them. They either have a lot of accounts, which I have a client that is a little bit more than this, and I would consider myself an outsourced team member for them. I am categorizing, I am class tracking, I am tagging transactions. So I am really in their financials, keeping it organized so that if they have a question, I can get an answer to them as quick as possible. And I don't have to go dig to find the answer. I've tagged or classed or whatever as I've gone so that I can answer those questions. That came about mainly because I was getting asked questions and I was like, oh, we need to start doing this so that if something else like this gets asked, I can answer the question. They're a needier client. They're a bigger client. And the funny thing is they do about 2.6 million a year. I have a client that does 4 million in two businesses, so 8 million together. They each have 50 transactions a month. So dollar amount, just in perspective, doesn't tell you how much work they are. And they're about half the cost. Like my fee to them is about half the fee of this one that does 2.6 that has a lot that we do for them. So categorizing, we still reconcile, we send them reports. We did their cleanup and we're still doing cleanup as we learn some new stuff about them because they came to us very disorganized. So they're still learning stuff about themselves as we ask questions, if that makes sense. Where they're like, oh, I didn't know that was even a thing that I should be questioning. Or we uncover something, another team member will say something and we discover new information about them. Accounts payable and accounts receivable. So accounts payable, if you don't know, is bill pay. So this is paying the client's bills for them. So maybe they have a rent bill that they want you to log in to bill.com and pay, or they have commission payments that you want to pay or something like that's accounts payable. A lot of clients, especially if they're small, don't really have accounts payable because everything is set up ACH most part of these days. You still have some clients who cut checks for everything. And that could be a good thing. That could be a frustrating thing. It really depends on your stance and how well you can get the documentation for yourself. And then accounts receivable is invoicing. So this would be, you get the information from the client, you create the invoice and you send the invoice. I draw the line here at collections. I do not do any client. I would actually, if I could type on this, I would do like an enter sign and make collections a separate category. I think it is a separate service, arguably that you should or should not be doing. I would put that on a whole nother tab and I'll tell you now that came up where I would put that. So I wouldn't put it here. Payroll carries with it a lot of liability. You do actually need a P10 if you were to run payroll manually in order to file those quarterly federal tax returns is really what they are. Because you're getting paid for that, you would actually need a P10. So we recommend using a third party like QuickBooks Online, Gusto, ADP. We have some awesome ADP reps in the group. We would recommend using one of those. So they will file the quarterly reports. They will help you set up a system that works for you and the client. Inventory here, I have an asterisk by. A lot of clients will just manage their own inventory. It does take some learning how inventory works, and I wouldn't do it as a beginner. The others, because you're relying on like bill.com, the client to give you information, or third party for payroll, inventory can be a little funky. So I wouldn't dive in on your first 5 clients to a huge inventory mess without having this, without preparing yourself to need some guidance and help and training, like on the job training, which we do offer through private coaching calls with you, but it's not something I would sign up for first 3 clients not having any background. Yeah. Possible. I don't know. Megan, what do you say on inventory?
Yeah, inventory is definitely way more advanced. And even doing it, so I had some inventory experience from the tractor dealership whenever I was there and doing some of the inside stuff there, and just the QuickBooks piece, the way QuickBooks handles it is totally different and can get super messy and complicated if it's not done correctly. Yeah, I would definitely say that would definitely be more outsourced for sure.
Yeah. So then above and beyond, here I am leaning to the fact that you're still doing basic bookkeeping. So I put those in blue. Here I would not say you have to be doing the outsourced piece, which is why I put it in pink. So here you're probably still doing the beginner simple bookkeeping. And by simple, some clients' books are just not simple. So when I say simple in like workflow method, not necessarily simple it's never advanced. Does that make sense? Just to clarify terms here. These are optional, right? So maybe you're still not doing them, maybe you are. But maybe you're one of the bookkeepers that gets on a call with me or Megan and say, my clients keep asking me for book budgeting. I'm also really good at budgeting. How do I offer budgeting? That might be if clients are saying, hey, they're asking you for it, it's easy for you to talk about. Maybe you can offer some budgeting assistance. And you can learn how to use that with QuickBooks or Life Plan, which we show you how to do in the course. Maybe it's cash flow forecasting. So I come from a background where I have an analytical, like a financial statement analytic background. So cash flow forecasting, financial services, budgeting, all come pretty natural to me. There are also learnable skills to some degree. Financial analysis is definitely learned over time. It can be trained, but it also is learned over time. This is actually how I started my business. I did not start by doing bookkeeping. Now I do more bookkeeping than I do any of this, but other custom service that you might be good at. I included this because some of you guys have a background or a skill set that your clients need that prompted you to get into this business. And it might be a really easy add-on if you had a 3-tier system that says, hey, I'm going to do basic bookkeeping. Hey, you're more advanced. I'm going to add class tracking or whatnot to tier 2. And then tier 3 is, hey, basic bookkeeping, but I'm going to meet with you every month because I'm going to get you out of debt. Right? I'm going to help you structure your cash flow to get you out of debt. I'm going to partner with banks, credit unions, whoever it is that I am already networked with, and I'm going to get you out of debt. Maybe you have a life insurance license, like I do. And you're like, I'm going to help you get set up with health insurance or life insurance or things like that. We also just did, Megan, remind me her name. I just spaced it.
Christy.
Maybe you partner with her to set them up with health insurance and life insurance so that they're protected. So maybe this service isn't necessarily something you have to be licensed for, but maybe you've developed a partnership with someone. And so you're going to offer basic bookkeeping, but you have a tier where you offer an additional service. That makes sense? So that's how I do it. Maybe you have 3 tiers, but I just wanted you to know that you have some wiggle room, or if there is something that you're bringing from another industry or outside experience, how to add it. Okay. And I would add it in this level here where it's like above and beyond. I'm going to create this package and this is how I'm going to stand out from the market. That's what this is. So your first 5 clients, you don't even have this on the table. Your next 5 clients are beyond. You start to add this, incorporate it, and be able to communicate it well. So I heavily have a accounting background. When I first started out, when I first started out in accounting, not in my bookkeeping business, in accounting, I was an AR specialist. I worked full-time part-time, then full-time at a Christian private school doing their AR. That was my first like real job in accounting. You could do that, work from home, and have several clients where you're just an AR specialist. That's all you do. So you make sure their balances are correct. You send emails if you needed to, like, hey, this is your balance, please pay or whatever. I would draw a line at collections. So there's notices and there's sending someone to collections. But if you're going to be an AR specialist, there's probably some emails going back and forth. Hey, here's your balance, it's due or whatever. That's going to look different for every client. So just something to think about. You can also just specialize in cleanups in terms of, hey, you've got 10 years of cleanup, like you've never done your books and you've never done your taxes. That's me. You're going to say that come to me for that situation, and you're going to really identify that as a niche. AP specialist, same thing as AR, just in reverse, so bill pay. So you're probably going to partner with bill.com. You're going to really rely on those like the commissions from bill.com, and you're just going to go get 10 clients where you are their AP person. You might be targeting larger clients with some of these services. In terms of, you probably want 5 to 10 AR, AP, just specific clients. I would assume that this is not a $300 a month service. Just let me clarify, like, what you're going to have, the biggest problem here is you're going to have the problem of, I'm a consultant, I'm a service provider, not your employee. If you want to be their employee, just know that going in, and you might have 5 clients that you're more of an employee for, working from home, but it's still a way that you could do this or break into this type of thing. I just want you to know, be careful. I know I had a huge problem with like employee mindset when I had started, and I just felt like I was their employee. I'm not their employee. I'm a service provider, and I had to work really hard on how to set up boundaries and really understand this new working relationship. Payroll. Megan and I know someone very specifically that specializes in payroll. And if someone has a really odd payroll cleanup situation, we actually recommend going to her if it's beyond the help that like Gusto, ADP, the service provider can help with. She specializes in it. So she not only sets clients up with payroll, she like is payroll pro, right? That might be you. Maybe you have a background in payroll and you're like, oh, I can just focus on payroll. Yeah, you can become the payroll expert. And this can be combined with, any of these can be combined with like the basic bookkeeping, but now your niche is solving payroll problems. And so you're going to find the business owners who are saying, my payroll is a disaster. I don't even know what the other bookkeeper did. That's your people. And that gives you a very clear way to market your business, right? Maybe you come from a background, so like maybe you were doing inventory audits. So in public accounting, as an auditor, which was my primary role in accounting, we audited financials. So I prepared financials for clients, but I didn't audit under a CPA. Then we prepared the financials, we sent them out. Those financials were used for loans, negotiations, investors, etc. Lots of different reasons. But sometimes companies just need an inventory person, like an inventory guru. That takes some learning how to do, but it's an option where if you already have a skill set, you can tap into that skill set or learn a skill set and go make yourself valuable to the marketplace, to larger companies, or to e-commerce businesses that are growing really fast might need help with this. And the whole goal today is to help you break free from, I feel like I have to offer all of these services and I'm all over the map. I don't know what to offer. It's okay to just focus on 1 or 2 areas, which brings me to tax preparation and fractional CFO services. Megan and I think every week, one of us is talking to a bookkeeper who feels the need to offer one of these 2 services. However, they lack the training for both. So I'm going to start with tax prep. I would be careful of saying audit proof and tax ready though, because audit is implying that a CPA audited their financials. So you need to be very clear that it is IRS audit proof. And then I would actually speak to a lawyer and make sure you're okay with, the implications of saying that. So you'd want to specify what audit and that you're not doing the audit. So I'm always hesitant when I see audit in marketing when it's involving bookkeeping if you're not a CPA. So just food for that. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So tax preparation, you do not, regardless of whatever Facebook ads tell you, whatever, like, guys, when people are marketing their course, their business, all of those things, they want to stand apart from the next thing. Megan and I do not do this to this extent. And what I'm commenting on is the fighting that you'll see coaches have, where so-and-so is doing this, so-and-so is doing that. And you can tell that these two coaches are like just pitting each other, like they're marketing against each other. We don't have time for that. We are very service oriented here. Like our goal is simple. It's to help you grow a business that works for you. So you're not going to see us do this. But when you start seeing people market this way and they're like, bookkeepers who do CFO services are idiots, you absolutely need to do tax. That's what it says. And then you see CF tax prep. If you don't offer tax prep, clients are going to stay with you because clients want a bookkeeper that's also offering tax prep. Yeah, there are a few. There are a few out there that really want their bookkeeping done by their tax prep. Here's how I've found to avoid this. For example, I took on a client in October. I did their October books. That's the first set of books I did. Their previous, I think she was an enrolled agent. She was doing their bookkeeping and their tax prep. When she switched them over to an S Corp and did their tax return, she botched their tax return. They overpaid by about $40,000. It was like $36,000 plus. Then they had a penalty this year, like they owed this year because of how they had to pay that bill. We got them the entire refund back, is how bad it was botched. That's a lot of money. And this poor individual tapped into their retirement fund to pay this bill that they never had to tap into. So without having two separate eyes on their books, you can't catch stuff like that. They never would have known unless they had, the only reason they knew was because something happened and they got frustrated with the bookkeeper and they just said, hey, can we get a second opinion from you? Is this reasonable? And I actually consulted other bookkeepers and I was like, here's the question at hand. Because I was like, maybe I'm too close to the situation. Let me get a neutral party because I'm actually friends with that particular individual. That's a lot of money. So you can use an analogy like, yeah, when I need a heart surgeon, I'm going to go to the heart surgeon, but I'm not going to go to the heart surgeon if I have a everyday cold. If my flu is too bad and I want some medicine, I'm not going to my heart surgeon. Right? We have different doctors for different reasons. They don't do the same thing. And I do, when I have examples like that, I do tell clients, this is why I don't, because I think you should have two sets of eyes on your books. And I really do. I do have a couple of clients that I do tax prep for and their bookkeeping. I do not make that a norm. So yeah, you'll have some clients. Can you build a multiple six-figure firm without doing an ounce of tax prep? 100%. Also, don't get into tax prep lightly. It does require additional training. Your bookkeeping business insurance is not enough. You will need to increase that. You'll need to go back to them and let them know, hey, I'm now offering tax prep because it will change your insurance and what they cover. And then there's additional steps. Your firm will need an EFIN, an electronic filing identification number, and you'll need a PTIN, a paid tax preparer identification number. So there are a lot more steps, totally doable if you want to do it. Is it worth the stress to most business owners? No. I have seen more than I would like to admit, bookkeepers who have gotten into bookkeeping and then added in tax way too soon like within the first 5 years, and they've ruined their like life for a couple of years. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress. Does it eventually get better? Yeah. But if you do it too soon, it can cause a lot of stress that you never needed to have. It also slows down the growth of your firm if you're too distracted by it, because now you're trying to find tax prep clients. Now you've lost that momentum on bookkeeping clients. Now tax season's over. Now you're going back to doing bookkeeping clients, and not all tax prep clients want you to do their bookkeeping. And I see that in reverse more often than I see a bookkeeping client require that their bookkeeper need to do tax prep. So you're going to get a lot of personal tax returns, not so many business. And so it's not going to, I just question whether or not you have to. I know there's 12 of us, Megan. I think I'm the only one that actually does tax prep, and that's not very much of my income and tax strategy, things like that. You can grow a multiple six-figure firm without it, that you love, without doing it. And you can do that with way under 20 clients. You don't need 20, 30, 50, 60 clients to have a multiple six-figure firm. Yeah. And just tell the clients that it's better to have a second pair of eyes. That's how to get through that if you're faced with that. Fractional CFO services. This is a little bit of a different animal, and I think it's misunderstood by a lot of bookkeepers. A lot of bookkeepers will come to me saying, I want to offer fractional CFO services. And when I start asking, what does that mean to you? What does that look like to you? They're really telling me that they want to do a budget or a cash flow or a different service that isn't true. Fractional CFO services, like fractional CFOs, if you go look at them, can it be a learned skill? Absolutely. They often have a lot more education under their belts to really do it well. They have built relationships with bankers. I take a stance, so not across the board, but 90% of the time, if you cannot help your client get a loan from the bank to run their business, you have no business doing fractional CFO services. What you're probably doing is something else, where you're doing cash flow analysis or something like that. You might even be doing controller type work. So you have accounting, you have controller, then you have CFO. And I think a lot of people have misunderstood CFO because it's a clickbaity word right now as controller level services, not CFO. So if you can add $1 million to a client, go do fractional CFO. You're better off doing that. Absolutely. And that is not to crush anyone's like hopes and dreams. Can you offer some really awesome services? Absolutely. Can you still become a fractional CFO? Absolutely. I just don't want anyone to feel like to get a $2,500 client, to get a $5,000 a month client, do you need to offer a tax prep or fractional CFO? No, not at all. So we've covered all of them. What questions do you guys have about those? Yeah, so I do have a book recommendation for you guys, just in case you want it. I'm a huge fan, and this is partially just my own like desire for my business that I'm sharing. Want a simple business. And so Donald Miller has a book called Business Made Simple. And it's similar to another book we recommend by Mike Michalowicz, because I love him. So it's really similar to that, but it's a different perspective, different author. And it's really inexpensive. So if you're looking just for more perspectives, more thoughts on how to run a simple business, how it all flows together to be a wheel that you're not necessarily the employee, Donald Miller's books is a really easy read from that perspective. So I just did put the link to it in the comments, but yeah. Or Megan, do you want to jump in, add anything, elaborate on anything?
I don't think so. Definitely don't have to offer the additional services or feel like you have to. You could definitely do it with just doing bookkeeping services. Angela said, does your course teach how to become a bookkeeper and run the business? Yes. So our course shows you from the very beginning of setting up your business, everything you need to set up, how to do the bookkeeping work, processes. We have like engagement letter templates, marketing the business stuff to help market the business, all the things in the course. And then we also do have our coaching program as well. So there's some group coaching that happens there, a Facebook group to ask questions in, and then some one-on-one coaching. And that can be, all of that stuff can be used for any area of the business. Mindset, goal setting, setting up processes and procedures. Tomorrow we're doing the Keeper webinar. So we do different things like that. All that's included. So Keeper help you get set up with processes and procedures. And then of course, doing the bookkeeping work will hop in there and help you with those pieces of it too.
Yep. So we offer group and community support with that. You could buy the course by itself. The course we recommend has, so there's 12 coaches who answer questions diligently throughout the week, get on one-to-one calls with you. So it includes private calls. If you're wanting to share your screen and say, hey, what button do I click here because QuickBooks is doing something funky, or I just don't know what to do next. Those calls can be used to run your business as well. So if you're just stuck, I don't know how to market, or I'm in a rut with marketing and I'm not getting any calls, we'll take a look at what you're doing and kind of help you navigate that. Absolutely. There are 3 calls right now every week. So there's 2 like group calls with other bookkeepers so you can understand what they're doing, get feedback from them or the coach that's on the call. And then Megan does a mindset/book call as well during the week, which is really great. And then social media. Megan and I use our personal because a lot of our friends and family support us. Not necessarily like family, I don't know. My family really isn't on Facebook, but my friends, my community really have been the biggest supporters of my business. And I'm so thankful that I did that versus just pursue. Like now you can absolutely create like a new profile and just add business people that you think are going to use your business. When I started my business, I knew that like after I tested it and I was like, okay, I'm committed to this. I like this or whatever. And decided that I was going to do bookkeeping. So I transitioned from the financial analysis that I was doing for clients to, they were asking me for bookkeeping. So I pursued bookkeeping clients. In that, I identified like 3 business owners in my network that had a long-standing business. And it was one of those moments where I was like, one day I'll get your bookkeeping. Didn't tell them, didn't talk to them, but because I used my personal social media presence to help at least share what I was doing, even if I wasn't like as great as Megan on marketing my business, because I'm very shy, whether or not that seems that way. I have all 3 of their books. And I think the benefit of that is people see that you're sticking with something over time. Like you can lead with it. It really depends on the problem that you want to solve. So who is your ideal client? And then talk to that ideal client. Why do they want life insurance? Why is it to get out of debt? Like if they did a whole life, I call it like a chocolate policy. So if they wanted to like set up the life insurance and then loan against it so that they're becoming their own bank, then you would lead with all of that and say, but then if you're leading with that, are you getting the bookkeeping client, right? Are you just solving someone's? So you really need to bring the story together with what is their problem? What are their fears? What are they worried about? What are they hoping to succeed at and win at? And craft the story and then lead with that. The services will come. The services are just how you solve their problem. There's just different levels. So vanilla or chocolate in terms of if they're going that route and becoming their own bank thing. And then obviously you can have term. That doesn't fall into either of those. I'm a crazy person. I start too many things and I'm always like, how does this work? And sometimes you just need to tell. So for anyone listening that's like now wants to go get their life insurance license, sometimes you need to tell ideas to just sit until you're stable, and then you can invite other chaos in. So don't get too distracted. I think that's like the biggest downfall to a bookkeeper is believing that what they offer for basic bookkeeping, whether social media has told you that it's not enough, you don't feel like it's enough. Guys, for the clients that I've had for 3-4 years, it's enough. That's all they want. That's all they need. And if they need something, they're going to ask you. Because I've been doing it for 3 years. All they need me for is basic bookkeeping. Yet I just lost one because they didn't know I offered this and they went to someone else. Email marketing. Sending them a weekly email to your entire list, letting them know about new services or how this service might increase. Let them know. You have to. Megan just did a wonderful short video on marketing your business, which I loved. And it talks about in that video that she did, if you don't tell people, they don't know, which is why we use our personal. If you don't tell people, they don't know. Why create a whole new audience if you already have one? If you already have a community that loves you, step into the community. Say, hi, I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. But in doing so, be sure you're serving your current clients through that email marketing. That's another way to talk about the life insurance or other things you can test out. Like you can send an email, tell a story, say, I want to offer a service, and just start testing it out. Does anybody need this? Have you been interested in this? If you're interested in this, let me know. And then you can send them to a form. Are you interested in this in the next 1 to 3 months, 6 to 9 months? Like, where are you at in needing this service? Because if they tell you, oh, 6 months from now, great, here's some information on it. Follow up with them in 6 months. Or would you like me to follow up with you in 6 months? Type thing. Email is a wonderful thing. And it's a great way to build a relationship. Okay, so that's marketing. I've shared the book. That's all I have. I hope this was really helpful in terms of just what's out there for you to offer. There's more. Obviously, I didn't put down every little thing you could do, but I wanted you to see, like, outside of basic bookkeeping, is there an option? Absolutely. Master the basic bookkeeping first. It's actually a wonderful thing for recurring income, for a lifestyle business if you're looking for that, just for growth potential if you're looking for that.
Y'all have an awesome weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.